Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Boundaries radio show with Craig and Charles. A completely open forum dedicated and directed only through the subtle influence of music.
How we doing?
We're doing good. We got some music tonight. We got some opinions that are strong.
It was tough getting here.
Yeah, it was. But we made it. And
It's our first radio show.
Exactly, yeah. No
1120 WBNW.
No form tonight, so we're just going to let our opinions and the music we play sort of shape tonight. And then eventually we will fall into a more static version of our show.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well,
I personally want to talk about
I was going to say, I know you had an
the
interesting...
Natick Redmond situation.
Okay, which is where we went to high school.
We both graduated from Natick High, and I know I went through this situation when I was playing hockey where a teammate of mine wrote a letter to the school and complained about, he was very upset and he didn't like that we went to the football games and dressed up. And I'm the first one to say it. I was there banging the drum every game. I had the headdress and everything.
I dressed up like an Indian.
And it's school pride, and I don't see. I guess I understand their point of view, but I don't see it as a bad thing. And I think people are blowing it way out of proportion, and it just doesn't really make any sense to me. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's not really a bad thing when it comes to the actual kids on the field playing football, because how can that be anything bad? But I do think is that in history there have been different atrocities that we'll leave unnamed. Obviously, these atrocities are in our mind. But the Native Americans who were slaughtered, it's pretty easy to just attach their image to some football team that's in a town where the Native Americans were slaughtered first place.
It's a headdress, and I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but it riles me up, and it just, what are they going to go to the Cleveland Indians now and tell them that they can't, wear their headdress at the games? I watched the game last night. I saw people wearing headdress, people having a good time. It's about supporting what you believe in, and it's bothering you. It bothers me.
See, I don't know, man. I think. Dave Chappelle once said that Indians still exist, man. He said, I've seen them. They're out there. They're not dead. They're not gone. So it's like, are they in Cleveland? I don't know. I think they were at some point, but I think some different forces swept them away.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that Cleveland, was where all the Indians are. People, they stereotype it with, they own casinos, and they just own casinos, and they make all this money off of owning a casino. But
and they drink fire water. You know what, man?
Yeah, it riles me up, and I just really don't see the point sometimes.
Maybe you just get upset because you don't really know where what happened to these Native Americans.
True.
It's like
I don't.
You hear this guy.
I don't see the background.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go read up on it before I.
But even reading up, are you a Native American?
I'm not.
So are you gonna feel that much empathy for like some culture that's really hidden from us? It really is.
But did they go through it? The people that are our age,
no,
or younger, they didn't go through.
Like the kid who complained.
Yeah, exactly. He was playing, high school hockey sitting next to me in the locker room, and we find out one day that he wrote a letter to the school complaining about the Redmen, and that was 6-7 years now that we were in high school when this happened, and it just happened again this year, and they said that they were going to ban it. They said that they're getting rid of it, and it's going to be gone, and they want to turn them into the Red Hawks and all this.
The Red Hawks?
Yeah, and it was, people are going to call them the Redmen. If you're from Natick, you're going to call them the Redmen no matter what name they change.
Well, because let's say something. I mean, it's not a bunch of hawks running around playing football. It's a bunch of men or soon-to-be men, high schoolers.
And that's where
they're wearing red
came from.
Yeah, that's all
Back
it is.
when they played Framingham, they were the blue team, and Natick was the red team.
Yeah, it's
and
that
they
easy.
were here come the red
And Walpole
men.
was what, black and orange?
Yeah, and it gets me real riled up.
Well, you know what, man? I'm riled up too. This is our first show. We're having a good time already. We're already feeling smooth. We got a great show up ahead, just free of any foundation, really. We're just going to let it flow.
No box here.
No
We're
box.
Putting ourselves in a box.
No form, yeah.
This is the No Boundaries
it's
radio show.
It's their radio show, you know what I mean? We're just talking.
The No Boundaries.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we were talking about with the name, and that's what we're here to do.
Exactly. You got friends. I got family. Everyone's listening. We have a good time. We're going to play some music for you soon here. Craig.
Yes, Charles.
Didn't you say something about the Talking Heads?
Yeah, I think we should play some Talking Heads. What do
Yeah,
you think?
because personally for me, Talking Heads is probably one of the greatest synthesizers of the many genres of music that were available late 60s into the 70s into the 80s, synthesizing Cuban Afro beats with an indie type rock. I mean, it's just really great. We're going to play a song called Cross-Eyed and Famous by the Talking Heads here.
Lost my shape, trying to act casual, can't stop, I might end up in the hospital, changing my shape, I feel like an accident,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of my favorite songs ever. Talking Heads, Cross-Eyed and Painless. We're here back with the No Boundaries radio show, first show. We got quite a few callers already, which is funny because at this time slot there's usually something else on that doesn't really attract as many beautiful listeners. I can say that, right? You listeners are beautiful. I don't know what you look like. But
Beautiful.
yeah, Craig thinks so.
We've had a lot of participation already. People calling in before we even got on the air, so I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. It's pretty wild, especially because we don't have that much to say. But I'll tell you what, in this country, and I'll be a little prophetic here, in this country, there's often a force against you, against your will, against what you want to do, against excelling in your artistic mind. And we're creating a forum for you to splurge, say what you want, denounce the president, support the president. It doesn't matter. Not to get too political. But
Yeah, we don't want to keep it too political. We keep it nice and light, but nothing's off topic here. This is open for all discussions.
I mean, what do you think? Okay, for instance, when we talk about the president here, you say don't be too political, but what do you think about the current situation of politics, Craig?
Well, I'm not a very political person.
Okay.
We're both young, and I feel that I don't educate myself, but I feel that our president isn't doing a very good job, and that I think is because a lot of people just hop on a bandwagon and say, I don't like the president, I don't like him for this, I don't like him for that.
But what do they offer to replace?
Yeah, I don't want to just say that I don't like him in general and not have anything to back it up, and so I'm just gonna keep my political stuff to myself.
Okay, so you're going to stay out of the politics, but it's interesting. You say you stay out of politics, but for some reason you have the feeling that something's just not right with the way the government is, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure, reading history, reading different things, that every single citizen of this country has felt that at some point or another in their lifetime through some struggle that's going on.
I think a lot of people feel like that, and it's a lot of us up in the Northeast because we don't agree with most of the views that George Bush has, placed upon our country, and it's gotten a little ridiculous, I think, and I think everybody's ready for a change. It might not be a good change, but it's going to be a change.
Yeah, well, the change will be a different face, driving the political corporate structure. Not to get too intense, but how obvious is it, that this corporate thing that, so runs our lives, all these different means of capitalism, they're just accelerating, It's all accelerating. That's where all these new problems come from. What can we do, though,
We gotta vote. You know, people have to educate themselves and know who's running for president. First off, I know a lot of people, at least our age, have no clue.
Well, a lot of
everybody's
them
got their own thing going on. Everybody's busy, but take 5 minutes to go online and see what's happening. Most people couldn't even tell me, 2 or 3 people who are running.
Yeah. You get a certain amount of people shoved down your throat by the media, though. It's like lesser of two evils.
Hillary Clinton, obviously, I know she's probably one of the front runners right now. Giuliani, Mitt Romney, all these people that make a lot of money, have a lot of money, and I feel that they use their money as power. It's their power, and we that don't have that money don't have the power, and it's
well, they
it's
don't use their money. Whose money do they use? The people that will benefit if they get into power, and they say we'll do this and that.
Say they'll benefit, but we don't.
Yeah.
We don't really see much of this.
No, of course not, because in this structure, how can we benefit? We benefit in this country when we're told that our credit is good. Then we feel like we're benefiting. But it's interesting, this whole democracy thing, that we vote, but it's pretty easy to see that there really isn't too much to this two-party system. It's like one or the other, and it wouldn't be too hard, Craiga, for the corporations to completely influence both sides. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that turn of the century, the 1900s, Andrew Jackson, you know what I mean, that whole deal that went on way back then that no one remembers, similar to this, It's like who's living with a mistress, and they put that all over the newspapers. This is back in 1900s.
Well, even now, with the whole thing with Bill Clinton being impeached for whatever he got from Monica, it's like we have President Bush killing. I don't know. I can't say killing.
Of course not.
He's
sending to death.
Our friends of ours that I know that have gone over there and have served the country and have come back alive. Thank God. But they've either got hurt. A good friend of ours, Steve I, has a Purple Heart, was wounded in action.
Yeah.
And I feel for those people that they went over and did this, and I don't really see any good that came out of it.
Well, Craiga, let me take the stance of one of these Republicans. How could you see the good? You haven't been attacked. When's the last time you were attacked by a terrorist?
Never.
See, we're doing good in the war, right? Right? Doesn't that make sense? The more we fight, the less fighting you're going to see going on over here, I guess, is the way it works. But what exactly are we getting done over there? If you look at the grand scheme since the beginning of the war and now where we are in the war now, what has changed in Iraq? You know what I'm saying? Or even in that whole Middle East?
I don't think anything.
Nothing. Civilians' lives have gone down. What? They're setting up. They're taking the time to help set up their government now and a democracy just like America.
But is that helping them?
How could it?
I don't think that's helping them at all. I think, if anything, it's helping our government people.
Yeah.
The people that are running our country, it's helping their pockets. It's
Yep.
helping their stance on what they're trying to do, and it's ridiculous.
So would it be fair to
personally.
say what you just concluded, Craig? I'll paraphrase what you just concluded. The corporations are controlling the political structures and sending kids to war so that what? So that
I don't know.
we cannot
I wish
be
I
attacked.
knew. Yeah. See, the whole attacking thing. I don't know.
You saw the planes. Everyone saw them.
I did, but
They hit.
I still am very skeptical.
Abdul Jamahid Danarai was flying the plane, even though that day, Dick Cheney, who's actually running war simulations with NORAD, even though that day he decided to take control of all those war simulations, and it made the situation that morning terrible. And not to be even more morbid, but the George Bush Sr. was having a meeting with the Bin Laden family to discuss the financial endeavors of the Carlyle Group, which is actually a military, weapons manufacturer. That's actually very interesting. I mean, if anyone has anything to say on this topic, please call in, because people have called in and said a few things, but I don't know if anyone really has an opinion that they want to be heard. That's tough.
Yeah. Any comments here?
How about this? Eddie Murphy might get married.
Really?
I only say that because I really like Eddie Murphy. I think he's funny. I really enjoyed Nutty Professor.
Oh, gratefully. Not even 1, 2, or 3.
So, the first one, obviously.
I think there was
the
a couple.
best. Yeah, the first one was the best because Dave Chappelle was in it, and he was hilarious.
Yes, Dave Chappelle is hilarious.
Let me see here. We got some news now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Most of it's pretty dull, I mean, the news I want to hear, I almost have to find myself.
Yeah, I personally, I don't watch. Everybody watches 10 o'clock news, whatever, 5 o'clock news. I can't watch that stuff. It's depressing.
Yeah.
It's just all the negative stuff that's going around in your county, your town, and
Not even. I mean, it's changed. I mean, let me spread some clear statistics here. The actual media behemoths that run the news have actually saved an inordinate amount of money. Basically, going from local news in each district to recording these local news that are run on a national thing. So it's like, a girl in Pennsylvania dressed her dog up and won $10,000 from this. And they play it on every radio, every TV station. And it's like, back in the day, in the 70s, your local station here in Needham would have to go out and find their own local news. But now they don't do that. They pick a local news that's actually not where you're from.
well, because now they can pick and choose.
Yeah, and they save a bunch of
they can
money.
pick which ones that they want. You will get ratings. I see all these commercials now of people on the news promoting the news. It's like people are going to watch the news if they want to watch the news.
It's a show.
It's you don't have to promote it. You don't have to tell me that you're the best news station in Boston.
In the history of the world.
I don't care. I really, really don't care. And that might be my point of view, but it's just it's too much for me to handle sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny because I actually know the one you're talking about. It's like a Channel 7 news ad, and it's
exactly.
like got a rock beat in the background. It's like, we never sleep.
All this promotion stuff, and
news never stops.
You're the news people. You're supposed to keep us informed on what is pertinent to our situation, and I don't see how some of the stuff they talk about is anywhere close to being something worthwhile.
You know what, man? I know what you're saying. No Boundaries radio show, formerly known as what was it?
Free Talk Yell Live used to air from 7 to 10 every night on Friday.
Some empty
So
space.
Friday nights we're going to be taking 7 to 9.
Listen, there was I'm looking at this news article online right now, and I want to know what you think about it, Craig. There's actually a report here that Comcast Corporation. Do you have Comcast?
I do not.
No, you have what?
Verizon.
Verizon. Okay, so that gives you your cable and whatnot.
Yep.
I'm sure
Internet,
Verizon.
all that stuff.
Verizon's probably the same natured corporation.
Yeah, pretty
but
much.
Apparently, and this is on Yahoo News. It's on all sorts of news websites, but apparently Comcast decides to block certain internet traffic over other internet traffic.
So what's that mean?
That means that pretty much, I think what it means is that if they don't like some certain file being shared, then they can choose to end it as a corporation, which is really interesting because it doesn't seem like that should be the case.
Why do they think that they have the right to I guess censor somebody that is of age? I guess if they're talking about pornography or something like that. Why is it their right to police that? Is that what they're doing? Are
Well,
they
you know what it
policing that,
is?
or is it something different?
You know what it is? All the file sharing programs that are out there. You remember it
Like
started
Napster.
with with Napster. That was like the corporation said,
yeah,
we're going to make an
remember that
example
well.
out of this kid.
Yeah.
And now he's famous, because they make money off him now.
Oh, yeah.
But you have groups out there like eDonkey and BitTorrent, these newer forms of file sharing, and they take up too much traffic. It's just too much. So they're figuring out some way to stop those people from being able to file share, which is interesting because they pay the same amount of money.
So it's not the legal trafficking. It's stuff that they're paying.
Well, it's not even illegal. It's just that it makes their whole system slower, so they're choosing to shut them off.
So then they need to come up with another vehicle of moving that stuff around.
It's called make it all legal and make it all private.
Yeah,
so,
and then charge everybody for everything.
Yeah, the worst thing ever was the copyright laws. I mean, obviously, if you create something, it's tough to be able to say, I want this something I created to make me money so I can feed my kids, but especially music.
I see the point of view. If you're a musician and you write something, I don't want someone ripping off my music.
But what about the other musicians that say, to hell with that? I'm gonna write music. And it's just gonna be music in the air, and if you record it or if it's recorded, you know what I'm saying. But the actual product is the CD.
That's the person that's playing the music.
I think it comes down to the fact that when a piece of music is in an MP3 file, it's in some strange realm.
Like the internet. We don't know what the internet is. It's just endless.
Yeah, and this country we live in is obviously, property comes first. If you have property, you own it, and it's controlled and protected by the courts.
And if other people are making money off of it, you should get your cut.
Now, who's to say though that this piece of music that's floating in the internet is a piece of property? That's where I think the confusing legal aspects of it come. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. The legalities of the music biz, and I took a class on this when I went to school.
Some pretty rudimentary stuff.
It is. It's really straightforward, but there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of stuff that people get around, and it's hard. I as a musician myself, I understand the music business is very tough.
It is.
And most people aren't in it for the money. And everybody loves to say that, but if you're not making millions of dollars touring around the country, it's not about the money. Even then, it's not about the money because they had to, bands had to work hard to get to that statute.
Yeah, but when you're signed to a label, the label makes the majority of the money.
They own you. They
so
absolutely own you. I learned that. They make they give you per diem is what you get stuff per day. You get money per day of an allowance.
Yeah.
And they control all of that stuff.
That's what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get your music out? You start your own
label? It's just like a business. Yeah. Well, that's an idea I've been bouncing around in my head is starting a production company or having everything in one big ball of what can I say?
Fire.
Yeah, a ball of fire. You got the music, you got the production, we got this radio show that we can use as our vehicle to do whatever we want.
What's funny, man? There was a man that bucket of red paint in Rome's Trevi Fountain today.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have this fountain that's, I don't know how many years old, but it's 18th century it says, so 1700s.
Yeah, I've never heard. It must be a fairly,
Yeah, it's pretty prominent, and some man apparently threw a red bucket. I mean, I don't know if he was trying to symbolize some sort of blood flowing through the Roman Catholic Church, but pretty interesting display because I see a picture here of other people taking pictures of the fountain. So pretty much unless you're in the front.
No, you don't see that every day. People on vacation in Rome or Italy, wherever they are, that's a sight you don't see every day.
That's pretty wild, man.
It is wild.
I couldn't imagine that. Also, in other news out of Washington here, there's some disturbing headlines. Schools are closing for disinfection. A 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, this was the staph infection, right?
Yeah, dead from a drug. No. Well, maybe staph. I don't know. Oh, yeah, staph. Yeah, exactly. Staphylococcus.
Yeah, I saw that on the news.
Aureus. It's or MRSA. It's a superbug they're calling it, which is interesting because I don't know. Have you met this kid with this superbug?
No,
I haven't met him either. So I don't know. Unless I talk to someone that says, "Yeah, I saw him. He looked real bad. He's dead." I mean, he got some blood. His body died. But I've heard of situations where people don't drink enough water during the day. Maybe they had a little bit to drink the night before. They don't eat the right foods. It's hot out. They go for a little jog or something. they die.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
freak stuff happens.
Yeah.
Every day something. You never know when we can go, and it's sad that it happened like that. And I hope they figure out what caused it, and I hope they can control it. We don't need something that we don't know about and have a way of protecting ourselves against.
Yeah, especially
out in the air.
especially
it's not a good thing.
When one resists all commonly used antibiotics, which this might be the one, guys.
That's the staph or the.
That's this one that
person.
they're talking about. This new developed staph infection. I actually had staph infection.
Really?
When I was a child. Yeah.
I had something. I think it was called erysipelas.
Oh my God.
It was really bad.
That doesn't go away. It makes
I was 6 years old in the hospital. I had this tent over me. I couldn't touch my skin. Nothing. It was really, really bad, and it's something that sticks with me. It's still obviously in my head, and I remember it. And it's just it was crazy, but I could not be here talking to you right now.
Did they have to put you on medication?
Oh, I was in the hospital. I spent a couple months in the hospital.
That sounds bad.
Yeah, it was intense. It was very bad.
When I had staph, it wasn't like that at all. Apparently, there was some discoloration in my veins up my leg because I had stepped on a seashell. And there was some discoloration in my leg, and apparently when the discoloration in the veins, when it leads to the heart, apparently that's when you die or receive a fatal blow of poison. But
that
luckily,
doesn't sound good.
While eating a sandwich, my mom noticed it and took me to the hospital, which was good because I was too young to get to the hospital.
Well, thank you, Andrea, for that.
Thanks, Andrea.
We appreciate you listening out there. We know you are.
So, I don't know, this bug made headlines this week because of a report in the Journal of the American Medical Association that it caused 94,000 serious infections and nearly 19,000 deaths in 2005. So this has been going on, this little bug, and apparently it's growing, but, AIDS is going on too, and I don't think we hear much about AIDS in the news anymore. Do you?
No, I know I don't. I hear about people having it, and people are surviving it. A lot longer than most doctors.
Well, because they're letting the drugs come out. They're letting them come out because it's like TV technology or computer technology. You don't want to give the whole cure too soon. Maybe that's rude to say, but
hey, there's no boundaries for you folks.
Yeah, this is it. This is it, folks. This is where it all happens. The evolution of your human mind is happening here.
Right here.
Yeah, right on the air with us, Craig and Charles.
Yeah. With that, I'm gonna switch it over to some sports, and we're gonna talk about our Boston Red Sox.
How they doing?
Well, after last night's crucial win in Game 5 of the ALCS, we bring it back to Boston tomorrow night.
Which we need.
We needed to win. We have to win. We're in a situation we can't lose. We're down 3-2. We were down 3-1 last night. And the Sox pulled it off.
Yeah.
Josh Beckett pitched unbelievable, and Manny, being Manny, like he says, he I thought he had a home run last night, but it definitely bounced off the wall. But the Sox pulled it off, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game.
I think we need it to be at home because, honestly, if I'm going to envision them pulling this off, which I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, I'm envisioning it, with the respectable Boston crowd surrounding.
Respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been to a Red Sox game lately, but
I know
it's
me and
pretty
you.
Intense.
We were in Kenmore Square when the Red Sox came back against the Yankees 4 games in a row in that final game. There was police with tear gas guns, and that was wild.
It was insane.
Yeah, that was really wild. That was a good time, though.
It was. Yeah, we were there. I was there for the Patriots too. The Patriots are on this weekend. They're playing Miami. 0-6 Miami against the 6-0 Patriots. It should be an interesting game to say the least.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting. So hopefully we'll be watching the Patriots and the Red Sox on Sunday. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. 8:00 is the game time.
Nice.
On Fox.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I know you're not much of a baseball fan. So.
I mean, I like to play baseball.
Yeah, everybody's got their thing. Me personally, I'm a Bruins fan, and I know this might be a touchy subject for most Bostonians in this situation. But hey, I've been watching the Bruins religiously, and I will say that I will be at a bunch of games this year. I will definitely go, and they're playing well. They won last night. They beat Tampa Bay, and they won the night before that, or 2 nights before that, in L.A. against the Kings. So. All you Bruins downers out there, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it either. You know what? Didn't that happen in baseball at some point? Like they were changing, the funding or who owned it or whatever, and there was kind of a strike.
It happened in hockey. There was a hockey strike about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it happened in baseball too before that, right? But the hockey strike was really intense.
Yeah, The whole season they missed. They missed a whole season of
What a bunch
of
of
hockey.
babies, man. You know how many
All because of money. It's all
you know how many
about
people
money.
were in the country like I would play right now, fully dressed. I'd play for 2 years straight for free.
Exactly, and we're paying these guys millions of dollars for 2 or 3 hours of their their day a night. They are traveling a lot. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
It's obviously a hard situation, but
Yeah, but look at,
you chose to play a sport for your life. That's what you chose to do.
Yeah.
I chose to be in this radio station, and they're out there. So
yeah, you're
that's
not
my
going to get millions though in here.
no. I'm not looking to make millions. If I could make millions, great. But it's not definitely going to make me happier.
Yeah.
I don't think people that have a lot of money aren't necessarily the happiest people.
No, they usually takes all your health to make as much money as you can, and then by the end of your life, you spend all your money again, trying to get it all back. All
Yeah.
the health that you wasted.
You're trying to protect your money that you put into all this stuff that you now own.
Yeah.
Homes and stuff.
Speaking of making too much money, do you know Rush Limbaugh? He talks on WRK.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
yeah.
like a Republican.
He had
He's
a big pill problem, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm looking at a picture of him. I could say that that's probably true. But there's apparently there's some letter from Democratic senators that blast him for using the phrase "phony soldiers." He's talking about some soldiers that were fighting. Apparently, Democrats got really upset. But this letter got leaked, and the actual physical letter was out, and it got sold on eBay for $2.1 million.
What a waste!
Isn't that wild?
What a waste of money! Like, who is the person that spent 2.1? You said
Yeah, $2.1 million.
for what? Why? Is he gonna just turn around and resell it for more money?
He's gonna say, look at the proof I have that Rush Limbaugh is such a horrible Republican, and this is a Democrat saying that. Well, he could have taken this $2.1 million and bought the soldiers a flight out of there or something. I don't know.
Anything that money could go to paying back our debt that this whole country has now because we've given all our money to other countries.
Yeah, it's
and they're charging us a percentage
Hey, come
to
on.
get it back.
China makes great stuff. Come on now. Come on.
They also own all of our money.
No, they make some great toys with the metal stuff. When I was younger, there was no problem with toys.
There's some iron. You hear
Yeah,
about that?
some iron in the paint.
Yeah, well, they were recalling toys because there was too much iron in some of the products.
Yeah, iron and
I think it was iron.
some other stuff, but
But still, you look on the back tag of my shirt right now. I guarantee it probably says made in China.
yeah, or Malaysia, or what else we got?
Somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, Vietnam.
Where it's cheaper to make our products and then bring it over here and sell it for a
Yeah.
ridiculous amount of money.
Joe Torre's gone.
He is. I saw that. They offered him a ridiculously low amount of money. I don't have that in front of me right now, but
Well, look at him, man. He looks. I mean, didn't he have cancer or something?
he's been through a lot. He's been with the Yankees, I think, for 12 years, something around there. I don't like to talk about New York too much because I'm a hardcore Bostonian, but
Okay.
but he was a great manager. He took them to a lot of I think it was 4 World Series, 4 championships that they won. That's a lot for a Major League Baseball team. And the fact that they have, the number 1 salary in baseball and they can't make it to the World Series is pretty ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
The Red
because-
Sox are the only team in the top 20 of payrolls to make it to this far into the playoffs.
So you were saying is they don't get paid that much?
Well, they're like number 17 in the payroll, the top 20 in baseball.
So you're saying that the person who gets paid the most should win every time?
Well, if you're going to pay these people that are supposedly worth all this money,
Yep.
and you want, the whole point is to get to the championship game and win that. That's what George Steinbrenner is looking for. And I think that the Red Sox have done it in a better way by not paying people, they pay Manny obviously a lot of money, but they're not paying, A-Rod money, $250 million or something ridiculous like that. It's just unnecessary.
You know what, man? I could see teachers getting paid millions. And
Why?
You
Why
know.
not? The teachers, they're sculpting us. I had teachers that
Are
got
they,
me
though?
to the. That's true.
I think
Some teachers, I think I had. I learned a lot.
Yep.
But most teachers, I think I had. They weren't. They were just teaching out of a book.
Okay,
And
yeah.
they weren't giving me their opinion on what they thought, and it was just that's how our curriculum was when we grew up.
Yeah, it sort of feels like they're a machine, and if you try to
Go
approach
against
them,
the machine.
yeah, go against it or approach them to try to find who they are. A lot of times, teachers will sort of become uncomfortable with that. We're talking about a new study that seeks to find clues that DNA creates homosexuality.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
That's just people looking for an excuse to.
That's the same thing. If I go to my teacher and try to find the true teacher behind the machine, and I fail. That's just like trying to find the homosexual clue inside of DNA and failing. You're not going to find it, and even if you do, it's not going to be. It's not going to be.
It's not going to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to
just
cure?
you're going to put all this money into it. I guarantee they're spending millions to research this.
They'll probably
and
come
for
out
what?
with a pharmaceutical drug.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
They already have camps, that try to cure you. I mean, if you think you're gay and you don't know why you are, you can't quite, you don't have the means to digest that sort of realization or whatever. They have camps that you can go to or send people to. Another thing.
That's another waste of money.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's not around me. I know homosexual people, and so what? So what? If it doesn't affect you or directly affect you, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
Let it go. It's not. It has nothing to do with you. I'm sorry. It really doesn't.
So here we go. We've got 25 new secrets about the Mona Lisa, including proof that Da Vinci gave her eyebrows. Apparently, some new group of scientists from the Lumiere technology.
Isn't that supposed to be a portrait of himself?
A
lot of people say that.
There are so many mythical theories about what's going on there because obviously Leonardo da Vinci was extremely influential in art, in the Renaissance. He was the Renaissance man. And how could he draw something and not have it with
somewhat represent
deeper meaning?
himself?
Yeah, of course. It's going to represent
painters.
him.
There's always. I think all painters have a deeper meaning to everything that they do.
Yeah.
Whether it be a painter, a musician, anything like that. There's always a deeper meaning, I think, to most of that stuff.
So guess what they did? They took a special Lumiere technology and they scanned the painting with 240 megapixel multispectral imaging camera. And I guess what's going on is it found brush strokes that you can't see the paint for. So it's literally they're seeing brush strokes but no paint on the image. So the brush strokes mean that there used to be paint. So they're like, they're just drawing it all back and figuring it all out that way, which...
How does that happen? If there's no paint, how do you see the strokes?
I have no idea.
That's craziness.
I know how. You need to invent a 240 megapixel spectral camera.
And zoom in on that?
Yeah, because then it'll be easy for you to see that Leonardo da Vinci was actually trying to draw himself, and over years... the manly image that he was portraying in the painting, over years, it turned into this pretty girl. That's what I think's going on. I don't think that he was actually trying to, do a portrait of some princess or anything like that. But I do think that we're going to play another song for you because it's an amazing song, and I love it. And
sounds like a good idea.
You people will now listen to it, and you got no choice. So enjoy. Burning Down the House by the Talking Heads.
Here we go.
Hold tight, wait till the party's over.
And we're back, everyone. Welcome back to No Boundaries Radio Show. That was Talking Heads, Burn Down the House, personal favorite of mine, really crazy. I don't know what you expect, sir, staring at your TV set, fighting fire with fire. Yeah, we have a caller. It's Ashley. I don't know where she's from. We'll ask her. Let's get the caller on. Craig?
Ashley, you there?
Yes.
What's up, Ashley? Where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. Okay, you listening online?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, this is the No Boundaries Radio Show. That means we don't really have a forum. So what would you like to talk about, Ashley?
I recently decided to have a sex change,
Okay.
and I'm really, really nervous about my surgery. It's scheduled for next week, and I'm just really nervous that people are going to think I'm weird and that I'm never going to find anyone to love me.
Well, that probably is not the case. I mean, why do you feel like a sex change is what you need?
Why do I feel like it's for me?
Yeah, I mean, why do you feel that? I mean, it's just something that doctors have been talking. You consultating with doctors.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Well, I was born genetically a female, and obviously I sound like a female, but that would be changed with hormones and everything.
Which type of hormones?
What's that?
Which type of hormones would you have to take?
I'm not sure yet. My doctor is going to tell me all that next week before the surgery. And I've always felt like a guy. I don't know why. And
You feel like you're in a different body, or?
yes, I feel like a man trapped in a woman's body.
Are you a gay man in a woman's body?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you're a straight man in a woman's body.
Yes, because I'm attracted to women.
Okay.
But I'm not a lesbian because I feel like I'm a man. You know, like I feel I have all the urges of a man and everything like that. So.
But how can you distinguish between the urges of a man and a woman if you don't know?
It's a hard thing to explain.
Oh, I understand that. It's definitely a hard topic to talk about, and I appreciate you mentioning this on our show.
I just get really nervous that people are gonna look at me funny, and I mean my parents don't talk to me anymore because
Really?
of it.
Well, that's not very supportive.
So
I think when you get a sex change, you're going to be physically someone completely different, and I'm not sure that you could possibly have a correct image of what that person might look like after a surgery.
that's true.
You know, maybe that's something you're afraid of. What part of Florida are you from?
Orlando?
Orlando. Is there a lot of sex changes going on in Orlando?
There's a lot of everything going on in Florida.
Is there? That's pretty wild.
I might be moving to Miami because there's a whole lot of that going on down there, and I feel like I would be more accepted there.
Yeah, Miami's a crazy place. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know, there's a lot of different people,
Yeah,
different
space for
backgrounds.
everyone.
I don't think, I'm certainly not going to judge you on doing this. That's your decision, and if
Yeah, are
you
you
feel
just saying that?
no, if you
or-
feel comfortable doing that, I think you should do it. If the opportunity is out there now, the doctors can do it. It's very expensive, I'm sure. Have you
Oh,
looked
yeah.
into that?
Yeah, it's thousands.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but if you feel that it's the right thing to do, I think that no one should keep you from doing that. You know, if your parents don't support you, I don't see that as a very, it's obviously hard for parents to support something like that, but you're still.
Well, I'm their only child, so they
Okay.
feel
Yeah,
well,
it's
not
tough.
disappointed, but they're just
I'm sure that was a hard situation for you to come to terms
Yeah.
with. I'm sure you went through a lot of struggling with that.
But, I mean, from your point of view, once I become fully a man, should I be telling girls that I'm with that I was a woman?
I think you should. I don't think you should lie about it, because eventually something might come up, or you're always going to know in your mind that you're lying. And I think honesty is a huge part of a relationship, and
Yeah.
with a partner or with a parent or a friend or anything.
But
Honesty
someone,
is everything.
someone you're going out with doesn't necessarily have to know your past. But I think it comes down to,
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to, I think the argument, not really argument, but the points that, like, you're born with a body, and, you may feel a certain way mentally and physically that's different from your body, but, do you need to change for yourself, or do you need to change for someone else.
Yeah, is it more for yourself, your self
Image.
worth, your self image, or
Yeah.
is it to please other people? I'm guessing it's not to please other people.
Right. No, it's for me, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
But I mean, do either one of you have girlfriends?
I do, actually.
Yeah, I've
had
got a
I've
few
had a
girl- I've got a
girlfriend for
few
a long
girlfriends.
time.
So what would you say if all of a sudden your girlfriend said, "Oh, I used to be a man"?
well,
Wouldn't you be a little creeped out?
No, because
that's a
I'd
heck
notice.
of a situation to be in, because
I would notice.
I would hope you might.
Well, what if you
notice.
couldn't notice at all?
I would.
That's
How?
a heck of a job by the doctors then.
Well,
Because I'm
because
getting like the top plastic surgeons there are.
well, listen, people aren't people aren't just sacks of flesh. I mean, there is a certain energy that certain people have, and you can pick it up if someone's so feminine that the surgeries they've had, you can't really notice that they were a male. I mean, that's a pretty wild situation. I don't see that happening to
Yeah.
to anyone
Because
too
I mean,
quickly.
like right now, I still have breasts.
Yeah.
I'm a 34 double D, so I have pretty large breasts, and they'll be removed, and I'll have scarring. But I mean, I can always just say that was scarring from a bike fall.
A dangerous railroad accident.
Yes, I was wrestling an alligator or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, any
know?
excuse.
A female alligator trapped in a male alligator's body.
Exactly.
No, it was an alligator trapped in a crocodile's body. You didn't even notice.
There you go.
Exactly.
See, I noticed
Yeah.
that. That's the type of sensitivity I have to beings around me. If there's a crocodile inside an alligator, I can feel that energy. I say, this is biting my leg like a crocodile, but it's got those teeth and the tail that looks like an alligator.
Exactly.
That's a good swamp surgeon. And on that note, thank you for calling Ashley from Orlando, Florida. I hope your surgery goes well.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate
We
it.
appreciate your call. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Probably, for the first show, I'd say, I'd say that's probably one of the most interesting calls you can get on the first show.
Oh, definitely. I think that's a very big topic now, is the fact that you can even think about changing your sex, how you came out, how you were born.
Mario, that's a serious issue.
I'm sure it's going on in everywhere around the world. I've heard about it a lot. It's been on TV.
Yeah, man.
People talking about it, and I feel that people should be open to it.
Tell you the truth, I work in Alston, Massachusetts.
Very
folks.
very eclectic.
It
place.
is a melting pot, or it's a tossed salad. It's insane down there. There's
Yeah.
so many people, different backgrounds, cultures, but there's quite a few, open, I guess you say transsexuals, but these people aren't some sort of anomaly among humans. They're just people. They have a heart that beats. They have blood. Their veins do the same stuff
Yeah,
we
they're
do.
a person like us. And
Yeah.
it just happens
you know
that
what?
they feel differently about their body and their situation, and that's the same thing coming back to whether you're gay or straight. And I don't see
Or both.
I don't see why there has to be lines. It's if you like women, you like women. If if you like guys, whatever.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Your personal life is your personal life. It has nothing to do with me, and my personal life has nothing to do with you. So don't tell me what I can and can't do. And if you want to have a sex change, Ashley, go ahead and do it. So, how about some Robert Randolph?
Yeah, we could play Randolph. I think that's what I'd like to do.
We'll keep it a little upbeat here.
That was an intensely interesting
It
conversation.
was very
there.
intense, and I think we should talk a little bit about it on the break here.
on the break, yeah. Try to figure out if Ashley's going to be all right. Maybe she needs some monetary support. Maybe our listeners that are just coming to us tonight maybe put together a little fund to help Ashley change
pay for
to
her sex change.
Ashton or whatever she's going to be called afterwards. But
Alan.
yeah, tell you the truth, guys, we've been playing some music for you, all different kinds. Right now we're going to play Robert Randolph, sort of a jam band. Really great band, though. I'll tell you, his whole band is made up of his family. Interesting enough, their name is the Robert Randolph
And the family band.
And the family band. Did you see them live?
I did. I saw them in Mansfield with the Black Crowes, and they blew the Black Crowes out of the water.
Did they?
They did. Robert Randolph is just high above anybody when it comes to playing slide guitar. It's very intense.
Now you went to school for music production, but you're a musician.
I did.
And you're saying that this band we're about to listen to, this guy Robert Randolph, is an expert slide
He was
guitarist.
he was absolutely on point. He energetic. The whole band was so tight, And probably because they are family.
Yeah.
They know what's going to happen. They've been playing together forever, I'm sure. So
I like talking about this because it's nice to support Robert Randolph because he's out there right now. He's playing still. He's got a really energetic message, and he's all about love, which is great. So this is
spreading the good words.
This is Robert Randolph. I Need More Love, because you can't get enough of love, especially in this day and age.
No, can't.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the No Boundaries radio show with Craig and Charles, a completely open forum directed only through the subtle influences of music, which is good because, we were feeling a little bit...
We needed some more love.
Yeah, we need more love. That person was talking about, maybe a situation is really confusing. Maybe she was just joking. We'll never know. But to the people that actually are going through a decision like that might be listening.
I don't want to make a joke out of it because
Yeah.
that's a serious decision that someone will have to deal with themselves.
Put yourself in the shoes, of a person in that scenario. That's
It's intense.
Yeah,
Very intense.
But I will say more love to all of you.
Heck of a first call, though. Thank you, Ashley.
That was good. It was good. I don't think Orlando should be known to our listeners now as some.
I love Florida personally.
It's not some
I've
place
been
where
to
you
Orlando
have.
about 10 times, and it's great.
Did you see any transvestites or transsexuals or?
I didn't, because every time I went down there, I was visiting my grandparents, and they live in a gated community.
Okay, so they don't let. So
So-
you're saying they live in a community that doesn't let transsexuals in, is what? Craig
No,
is saying.
that's not necessarily true.
How many transsexuals live in the gated community? Honestly.
That are 60 and over.
Oh, there's younger ones. Okay, so that's what he's. All right, so it is a newer generation that are having these confusions. Do you think it's something that has to do with? I mean, you think there were people that felt as if they were a woman in a man's body in the 14th century?
I think it's entirely possible. I know there's got to be some physicality to it that, when you get into the embryo and all this stuff, and if the chromosomes aren't matching and you come out a different sex than you're supposed to, then that could very well be what happened to Ashley, and she just didn't feel right, her entire life.
Wow, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Is wow.
Wow is right.
Well, with the technology today, I mean, I'm sure you could go into an airport and go into a bathroom in the future and maybe just pay a small sum of money into some machine on the wall and perhaps get a sex change right there before getting on the airplane. You know what I mean?
Sure. Why not? Why not? The future is endless in my point of view.
Yeah. I mean, you get into the airport as a man, and then you're on the plane eating peanuts as a woman. That's pretty simple.
That's pretty intense. I don't know about that.
So I have a news article here. It's pretty interesting. There's a 15-month-old Benton is the spitting image of his father, a U.S. soldier who died in Iraq 2 years before his son was born. Interesting.
Wow, he
Yeah.
looks just like him.
Yeah, this person died before his son was born. He died 2 years before his son was born. How did that
How is
happen?
that possible?
Well, I'll tell you. He had his semen frozen before he was deployed, and
I
so
see.
he said, I'm going to war.
Not a bad idea.
He said,
if
I'm
you're
going to
married and
war.
going over to war. You never know what might happen.
It's pretty scary that you have to think like that, though.
It is. We shouldn't. Bring it back to the war. We shouldn't have to live our lives. As what if. What if I die tomorrow? What if? I never want to think like that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of our young people in America, 18, 19, 20 years old, over in Iraq holding AK-47s, being shot at and bombed at. It just
But they can't drink. They can't give.
you can't get alcohol.
Yeah.
It's just it's stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Marijuana isn't legal. It's just stuff that is helpful to some people. Cancer patients have used marijuana for a long time.
Well, 10,000 years, humankind has had a relationship with the drug.
Yeah.
And now, the last 60, 70 years.
It used to be very spiritual.
Yeah.
It was considered, a religious thing.
Hey, hemp was like the ultimate, manufacturing. It was
It
rope.
still is the ultimate manufacturer,
Yeah.
and we're just not using it.
We're not. Declaration of Independence was actually
Written
written
on
hemp
hemp.
paper, which is really interesting because people.
That says
have a
something
tough time.
about our country and how we were using our products then.
Yeah. You know what? The government can't make much money. If,
No, they can't make
if
money off
marijuana
of
is
it.
legalized. When it's illegal, there's not to say so openly on the air that they're involved, but when it's illegal, there's a lot more market for it. I could say from an outside.
Oh,
of the
definitely.
country
If it was
source.
legal, they wouldn't be making money off of it.
No, they would not. So this woman, my husband and I had talked about the probability of needing to do in vitro fertilization because I already had a fertility issue. And then he went to Iraq. So she didn't really, it wasn't really because.
That's gonna be a tough decision though. Like
Yeah.
if he did that, and then his wife finds out he's dead. And
Yes.
then has a kid with the father who the kid's never gonna see. I mean, it's great that she's having a baby with the guy that she loved.
How
Obviously,
strong must she be, man?
that's gonna be a tough thing to explain to your kid when he gets to be 12, 13, 14 years old and wonders what happened to his father, and she has to explain to him that he went to this war that didn't really help the country out very
Yeah,
much.
of course she
and
would say, he died fighting for,
he proudly
all
fought
the
for his
freedoms the son
country,
has.
but.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you, a
it's
lot
unfortunate.
of these soldiers are not proudly fighting. A lot of these soldiers, you don't hear much of it on the news, but I've heard quite a few different stories about these soldiers coming out, even being charged with mutiny because of their views at certain situations in this war. They're so drastic. They get charged with mutiny for leaving a war they don't agree with, and that's, treason. But
Can you explain to our listeners that might not know what mutiny means?
well, they're leaving the situation when they're needed, I guess. So if I'm fighting with someone in a battalion, and even if there's no war going on, if I just skip out, and find a way out of there. That's mutiny. I mean, I don't know how easy that is in Iraq, but there's certainly treason going on. As a matter of fact, a person in a military academy was actually sending emails about how he disagrees with, 9/11 or whatever political things that he was studying, but they actually kicked him out of the academy. And then, they tried to bust him on that particular, treasonous act or against the government, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I want to bring something up that I just thought of. I know we've talked about this previously in the preparation for our show.
Yeah.
And this whole Blackwater situation with, with
Okay.
all these this privatized army, if you will,
Militia.
that has been in Iraq, and I saw the footage. I know you showed it to me, Chaz.
You know what, man? I showed it to you.
It was a long time. It was a couple
long
months
time
ago.
Months
and
ago.
then
And then
recently,
you know what?
I heard about it, and they're
Yep.
finally cracking down and saying, "Oh, this isn't right." And
But are they? Are they cracking down?
no, not at all. They're just saying that they are to pacify Americans' thoughts and what they think about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
I saw videos of them just driving down the street, just blowing people away with their machine guns.
Well, that's what different groups are getting charged with now. I guess what's happening is we have evidence that certain groups, maybe British soldiers or even Blackwater, that annihilated all those people in that courtyard. Apparently, what we could draw as a conclusion is that these people are actually trying to create sort of an upsurge in certain areas, and then what happens is the actual armies move in after and clean up. So it's like, the actual armies say, well, there's some gunfire going on in this area. Some insurgents have moved in, and they go down there and they take care of business, and in the background you have Blackwater skipping out the back door. And that's what's going on. And these people are getting paid by our government as a separate private militia, and they're getting paid hundreds of dollars an hour. Blackwater worldwide efficiently and effectively integrates a wide range of resources and core competency. See, this stuff just sounds like a bunch of bogus, I don't know. These guys
propaganda.
are what?
It's just
Ex-Marines, ex-Navy SEALs.
guys that have serious training in the military that the government is using to fight. I don't know what they're doing. It's just it doesn't make
terrorism.
It's crazy that we have that over there and we're worrying about. I don't know. It's just it flusters me a lot.
Yeah, it does, because I'm on their website and there's a section that says services, and right here it's like training, global security consulting. All right, how to secure the globe. They're going to consult you on that.
Why are we doing that? Why does the United States feel that they have to be, the president of the world, if you will, and control everything that's going around? We're trying to. I know we talked about this on our other shows on WBNW about having a single global currency and how our money, our American money, isn't. It's not worth anything anymore. You go over to get a euro. I guess a euro now is around like $1.40.
Yeah. By the way, though,
for a dollar.
When you were a kid, where was the euro? It wasn't. I mean, what did we have? We had the pound. You had the Deutschmark. You had the all these different currencies, and now you have Africa is now the AU. England and Germany and Spain, and it's all the EU, and they have the euro. And then you have this new alliance being built with Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, and we've already seen pictures of the new Amero coin.
Yeah, whatever that is. It's going to be all the way from Mexico all the way up to Canada.
Yeah,
is that right?
Well, they already have the transcontinental highway and stuff that comes down, and there's all different, what do they call it, the Northwest Corridor, they're going to call it. But it's going to come down from Canada all the way into Mexico, they say.
All these names and stuff to make it all bright and shiny and in your face, so you think that it's a good thing. I don't necessarily know if it is.
Well, what is it? I mean, what is a one world currency? What is that exactly? That's obviously when some sort of a system has completed its cycle of starting in one place and manipulating this other place, taking it over, manipulating that place, taking it over. It's actually completing the system. Control, basically.
Extreme control.
Yeah, extreme, because currency is what? Blood. Blood is money in this system. So if you control all the money in the whole world, then you control the whole system, which is interesting because you have groups like Blackwater now that are pretty much that strong, but on the military aspect, not the banking aspect. But Blackwater has right here on their website, they have a proven track record of superior advisory support to government agencies and private organizations. So what? I'm a government. I'm going to pay Blackwater. Didn't I get voted to be in power so that I can make the decisions with the help of my constituents. I'm going to pay Blackwater to do what? Clean up a bunch of civilians over there?
Yeah, it doesn't make it. I don't know. I guess I don't understand what they're there for. If our military and our army is over there to, apparently rebuild an Iraq that we completely demolished into a parking lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if we were gonna rebuild it, why would not, help build what was already there instead of blowing everything up and killing 700,000 Iraqi civilians for what?
Yeah, for what?
Everyone says it's for oil and oil this, oil that. They're
Yeah.
saying we're finding oil in new places in like the Gulf and in Canada and stuff like that. And we need to get rid of our oil necessity. It's getting ridiculous, and we need to start making more hybrid cars that are actually hybrid and don't just eat all your gas and say that it's a hybrid and you pay this tax and you can say you have a hybrid. Like I'm all for.
It's like a fashion
I'm
thing.
I'm all for preserving the environment and keeping the CO2 emissions and all that good stuff down.
The U.S. is doing a number, and so is China with their coal plants. But the world is gonna kill us way before we ever damage the world.
Way before.
So all these groups that are trying to save the world but don't understand that they're actually trying to save themselves, which is okay. I mean, let's help save ourselves.
Yeah.
Humans
We
are
obviously
pretty
want to
important.
have a quality of life that while we're here, and we want to protect what where we came up in.
Yeah, but they already have cars that are self-sufficient. They even have a car that runs on what? Me and you saw. Yeah,
I saw the commercial that was running on vegetable oil.
But even the documentary they did on that car that runs
the vegetable oil.
it runs on compressed air.
Oh yeah. I saw
remember?
that.
And it was actually it goes like 50 miles an hour, but he has a compressed air tank that fills up this other tank, and because basically where does the air go into the compressed tank? How does that get into there?
Yeah, was it air or was it water? I thought it was water.
Well, I think water was like the
but
byproduct.
still, the fact that we can make a vehicle
Yeah.
out of water
Well, they
and
buried
natural stuff there's no money obviously for the companies to make money off of that anymore.
Of course not.
GM gone.
Yeah.
Audi, all those guys just out the window. See you later. Like
Audis are nasty though. I say when it comes to like technology, BMW.
oh yeah, no doubt that the technology in vehicles today are insane.
I think it's pretty obvious that the way the system works, just like what I said earlier about TV technology, obviously things are going to slowly develop to make us feel, you know what I mean? Oh, the hybrid's out, these people are actually conscientious of the environment. No, they're just creating a new product that best fits what people are demanding. And that's, that is capitalism.
Yeah.
Don't enslave everyone so they come up against you and decide they don't need material things anymore, but give them what they need. Just enough so that they keep buying it and feel slight confusion.
What do you think about Al Gore winning a Nobel Prize for his movie?
Oh, tell you the truth, man. That movie.
I think that was more of them trying to get him to run for president, so we can have this guy that we know who did this movie that is supposedly all about global warming.
It's bull. It's just
I don't believe in global warming at all.
A collage of a bunch. Well, in the 70s, if anyone our age did any bothered researching, people who were a little bit older and were our age, 20s in the 70s, maybe involved in politics, they would find out that there was actually, global cooling. That was the big scare. Oh, it's going to get cold. And I've read back and seen these articles. They're very similar to what we're hearing now. But it's like...
It seems like they're just looking for something new to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of the war, they're trying to take the focus off the war onto something about, the world, which a lot of people care about. I care about, controlling what's happening, but the fact that they're making this huge deal about global warming and our cars and all blah, blah, blah.
And they blame you.
And it's
what
my fault, and we have to do this.
Like you have a choice. You got to drive to work.
I have to. I got to make money. I need gas in my car. Granted, I don't drive the most fuel efficient car, but I'm not going to mention what kind of car I drive. But most people know what I have.
It's a chug-a-lug.
But it is what it is.
It is.
That like Scotty says, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Tautology.
And everybody's got to get to their job. Everybody's got to do what they have to do. And as much as the gas prices have risen since
for what? Aren't we?
There's the consumption hasn't gone down. Our consumption of people driving and people using the gas, even though it's $3, $2.60, $2.70.
Yeah.
People are still driving just as much as they were before.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. Let's get nitty gritty. You know what it is? Al Gore's running around, and I don't see any major car companies trying to, silence Al Gore. They're not backing him up because that'd be crazy, but they're not trying to silence him either because they want you to think that it's something needs to be done. They want you to push Congress to change some law that will affect me. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to put different technologies in the new cars so they can tax you on emissions. So you're going to be burning the same oil, but now you're going to have to pay for how much you want to burn. So that's just another way for them to extract money. There have been all sorts of plans that I've seen involving that, and it's not too stupid of an idea on the part of the car companies, I guess.
Yeah, it's right here, no boundaries, folks. This is what we do. We're gonna just go with the flow, talk about whatever comes to our minds. Let's what do you think, Chaz? You want to play some music now?
Yeah, I'd like to play music. I'm actually looking through them right now. Yeah, the country we live in, folks, is a pretty intense country. A lot of times I come to a realization that I do not feel alone anymore. I may be alone, but I'm starting to gain enough confidence where I realize that when I have these sort of rants that go on in my head where I'm not quite sure where we're headed and what's going on and, what does this all mean, I'm pretty sure that I don't worry anymore. I don't rack my brain because I'm pretty sure that the people next to me feel the same way and I can discuss this with them. And we can talk because that's what it is.
We have this vehicle, this radio station to talk and to get our opinions out there. I know I'm not the only person that has the same opinion as me or Charles here. And I know everybody has their own opinion, and we love to hear it. So, if you have a question, comment, anything, give us a call.
Yeah, we're going to play some music right now. We're going to do a little Bob James. So it's going to be
a little jazz for you. Taking it down. It's about 10 of 11 right now on your Friday evening here, October 20th. October 19th, should I say.
Yeah, we're not quite at the 20th yet. Yeah, this is Bob James. This is Nautilus. This song created a new sound when it came out. So give it a listen and enjoy.
Here you go.
Welcome back, folks. That was Bob James, Nautilus. Such a good song, man. So cool, right?
Very chill. I like it.
Yeah, kind of makes me feel like I'm spying on, some people with the secrets, and I gotta watch out for obstacles.
Kind of James Bond-esque.
Yeah, it is James Bond-esque. Bob James Bond-esque.
Oh,
nice.
I like that.
Interesting news article I just found on here on Yahoo. A lot of people probably heard about it, but Nas, who's obviously a
One
rapper.
mic.
Yeah, one mic,
That's all I
exactly.
need.
One mic, the idealistic message of one mic. Nas is planning on naming his latest CD, okay, after a hurtful racial epitaph, obviously the N-word.
Wow, he's gonna name his album that.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, he's a guy with a message. I mean, I'm sure that
He is. I'm sure there's like we said earlier, there's deeper meanings to everything, and I'm sure he's obviously looking for ratings as well. But
yeah,
that's
yeah. Look at Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Freedom of speech. Is he right on there talking about it already?
Well, Jesse Jackson says
right next to Al Sharpton.
He said, yeah, these guys are always trying to polarize the blacks and whites in this country and but the title using the N-word is morally offensive and socially distasteful. Nas has the right to degrade and denigrate in the name of free speech, but there's no honor in it. Well, sir, I mean, there's no honor in being famous for just commenting on what other people are producing. A. B, if you're producing a CD, you can name it what you want, and if people want to listen to it, then that's because they're interested in what you have to say. And Jesse Jackson, people are interested in what you have to say, and I don't mind that. I do not mind that, but I think he's probably using the N-word in a way where he's trying to send a message that it's a very powerful word, and it's used in hip-hop. We have a caller, don't we? We have a caller who has an opinion on this matter, apparently. Who is it?
This is Nicole. She wants to talk about Nas.
Nicole, you on the air?
Yes.
How you doing? Where are you from, Nicole?
I'm actually from Massachusetts.
Okay, excellent. What do you think about this situation here?
Well, as somebody who has been following Nas throughout his career, I
So
do
you're a
not agree
fan.
with him whatsoever.
Why?
Because I feel that I read that Yahoo news article actually right before you started mentioning it, and one of his quotes was that he wanted to take the power back and put it back into the word, or take the power out of the word. And I think that with taking the power out of the word, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use it as the title of your CD, knowing it's going to cause controversy.
Yeah.
I think controversy is good when it's with social causes and, social just causes that can make a difference for the betterment of people.
Yeah, I don't see this helping the situation at all. I don't think it's gonna do anything but make it worse.
Exactly, I agree. And I think that for Nas, a rapper like him who has been very socially conscious with his music and has really tried to allow his hip-hop and rap and spoken word to make a difference within society, I think he's completely backtracking everything that he's been doing throughout his career.
Yeah, it's like 1 step forward, 10 steps back with this one.
Exactly.
I had a lot of respect for him. I still do, but I don't see any reason why he couldn't just name it anything other than that. That's
exactly.
just I guess he's probably looking obviously for publicity, which is what he's getting because we're talking about it. But
that's true.
Nicole, what do you think of rapper Chameleonaire, which is also in this article? What do you think of him declaring that he would no longer use the curse or that word in his rhymes? That's interesting. It seems like he's trying to get himself in the public eye just the same, but it's in the opposite direction.
Well, I think with someone like Chameleonaire, who's kind of new to the game and really new to the hip-hop genre in the field, I mean, he hasn't been out as long as Nas. He doesn't consider himself, a person for social change, where Nas does consider himself someone who can make a difference.
Okay.
And I think, it's great that Chameleonaire said those things, and it's great that he's thinking about doing it, but I'd like to see if he actually follows through with what he says.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he actually does follow through with that.
Yeah, apparently here with some of these quotes here, I mean, if you listen to Nas, what he said, to my older people who don't know who Nas is and don't know what a street discipline is, stay out of this blank conversation. We'll talk to you when we are ready. Right now, we are on a whole new movement. We are taking power from that word. So basically what he's saying is that these people who are possibly older and don't involve themselves so deeply in this rap game, I guess, maybe past civil rights activists or something like that. He's basically saying to them that their time was over, and now he is creating a new way of making change in the African American or even just hip hop community.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said earlier, using the term that you're taking the power out of the word, I think is a complete cop out.
Yeah, look how much power this word has. It's right on the news now because of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I work with college students, and I listen to the college students on the campus that I work at and the speech and the tone and verbiage that they're using, and I hear that word a lot. And it's disgusting. It's ridiculous. I mean, if you are, approaching a person or you are conducting yourself in an educated manner, whether you're in a formal, institution of higher education or not, that is not a respectable, educated word to be using. And I think Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and everyone else who fought for civil rights would absolutely be rolling over in their grave right now.
Yeah, because even if you're Malcolm X and you're, talking about certain acts of violence that are necessary, or if you're, Martin Luther, who's discussing love and discussing the Christian, movement and things like that, either one of them is still not going to use as the term for their new movement some message that basically all it means is an ignorance that I guess a particular culture is never going to be able to climb out of. I mean, it's some horrible curse on someone to say that that's what they are. And he's trying to wrap up his whole new movement with this word.
Yeah, and I think ignorance creates ignorance. And until you stop using ignorant verbiage and you stop using ignorant slang, especially someone like Nas, who is such a role model to so many young men and women of different races, he's an extreme role model to young black men. He's an extreme role model to the hip-hop community, and I think that it will not stop until people who are in those positions of, public eyes and being a role model and being someone who needs to support the newer generation, it's not going to stop. And I think that, it's very easy to preach, social causes, and it's very easy to preach living in a social justice sort of a society, but it's very hard to do that because unless you're fully willing to contribute everything that you're doing to make that become the kind of society you want to live in, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I agree with you, Nick. I agree with you, Nicole. I also think that ignorance also buys records.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, you know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Yeah. They buy the majority of the records, so I think perhaps Nas is making some sort of a risky move because he's so involved in the rap game. He can make a risky move like that, but he's also making a capitalist move, a capitalist advantage here. So,
do you think you're gonna still buy that album, Nicole?
Well, I don't really buy CDs.
Yeah,
I usually just, will listen to songs or will, use them on different search engines that pull up songs. But, I don't know. And I think I'm more being a double standard for myself and saying that, I don't agree with the title of his CD, but then saying I don't know if I'm actually going to go out and buy it. But at the same time, too, it's like, okay, so you have this title for your CD. What are the songs that are in that CD about? Because that will make the difference on whether or not it gets purchased. And I think in the quote in that article, he had mentioned on MTV, I guess, that people shouldn't be so concerned with the title on the CD because the songs inside are even worse. And I want to know what is even worse. I mean, this is someone who, he's married, he has a child, he has a daughter. Yeah. What is worse?
He needs
what
to
exactly
grow up.
Are you saying on those songs?
He needs to grow up into a Martin Luther King or into a Malcolm X because those people, I don't think, had quite the fame and the celebrity and the exciting events that would, form them into someone like Nas. Someone like Malcolm X didn't have time to make a message with some word on a CD because he was involved a little more physically, I think, in the movements of the 60s. But like Nas said, I mean, those movements, they came and they went, and he's in charge of a new movement, I suppose. So,
yeah, I always had a lot of respect for Nas.
Yep.
I thought, I'm not, I would say, a schooled rap listener.
Okay.
But the songs that I listened to from him were very well put together, and he was saying something.
Yep.
And for him to come out and do something kind of ridiculous like this is totally out of the character that I thought he was.
Absolutely.
I thought he would come out with something very, politically charged, or not even politically, just something clever, because that's the kind of artist that he was and that I knew him as.
And I think that in using this title, it is showing that he is a politically charged type of an artist and a person, but I think it's a political charge in the wrong direction. I think it needs
Most
to move
definitely.
forward and take the use out of the word. Stop using it. Stop making it so mainstream. And I don't think it's ever just going to go away, but if it stops, being used in such a lighthearted manner and people take it less as a joke and more as an offense as it should be, I think little by little people will stop using it if they keep being told by their peers, no, that's not correct.
Yeah, and he's just making it more right for people to use it, and it's not helping. It's definitely not helping.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Nicole, thanks for calling. I appreciate your intensity. That's very good. We need some more of that. We're going to go
guys.
back to
Thanks,
some
Nicole.
music. Thank you, Nicole. We're going to go back to some music now. What do you think, Craig? Another song?
Yeah, let's play some more music.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to play that one song we were talking about.
And I think this is the band we're actually listening to right now, Galactic. They're playing Sunday the 18th. Oh, this is some dead, right?
No, this is Galactic.
Oh, this is
man.
Galactic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
they're
absolutely
playing
right.
Sunday the 18th at the Paradise. You might see Charles and I at that show as well.
Yeah, I think you will. When is that?
That's the 18th
Yeah,
of
so-
November. It's a
get-
Sunday night.
Nice. We'll
So
be there.
we'll promote that show. I'm sure we'll see you there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a little break and listen to some Galactic. How about that?
Sounds good, man.
All right, we'll be right back here on the No Boundaries Radio Show with Craig and Chaz.
We're listening to Galactic cooling off in the background here. Do-Rag. Good stuff. They're playing on the 18th at, where was it?
Paradise Rock Club.
Paradise Rock Club. That's good, man. I'm going to go see that. This is the No Boundaries radio show. No boundaries means no form, means we don't have anything containing us. We're just exploding into space, I think.
Yeah, it's free to go wherever, and that's we pretty much completely winged isn't a word.
Yeah, it's not winged. We
it
did
was
a little
completely
pre-planning.
unplanned. We did a little bit of planning, but
yeah, a little tiny bit, but mostly format stuff.
Yeah,
and that's production stuff. And without that, a radio show can't be what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, we are a completely open forum, directed only through the subtle influence of music. So we'll be playing music when we have our shows and having discussions about whatever you choose and whatever we can. It's Friday night. It's going to be Saturday very soon. Saturday morning from 6 to 7, is it?
6 to 9.
6 to 9. We got American Juice Box here on WBNW 1120 or moneymattersradio.net. American Jukebox is just a collection of good American music, I guess, right?
Yeah, we play a little bit of everything, Doors to whatever.
Nice.
It's a great show. I definitely suggest you listen to it if you're up early enough tomorrow, Saturday morning, 6 to 9, American Jukebox.
Which I will not be, but we get a little bit later on from 9 to 10, we get the Pat Summerall show.
Pat Summerall, he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
You should listen to him if you're a sports fan. He definitely does a good job.
Nice. And, of course, we'll be back next Friday and every Friday following that from 7 to 9. So that's going to be the regular No Boundaries spot. Sound good, Gregor?
Sounds good. Everybody, feel free to join us. Call in, send us emails. We'll give you all that info next week. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week for another installment of the No Boundaries Radio Show.
That's right. Enjoy the rest of this song, guys. We'll be back.
See ya.